Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta-Vrinda. Hare Krishna.
Goshyate yasya nahare rangayatra dhine dhine tamaham shirasa vande radhanam kulashekaram kumbe punarvasu jhatam kerale cholapattane kaustubhanam dharadisham kulashekaram asve. Yesterday we saw this beautiful Stotra, Śloka by King Kulashekara, where he said there is one mantra, there is one aushadam which takes care of all the problems that we have. Vyamoha prashama aushadam, muni mano vritti pravatya aushadam, daita indriyarti kara aushadam, tri jagatam sanjeevaika aushadam, bhakta atyanta hita aushadam, bhava bhaya pradvamsa naika aushadam, Shreya Prapti Karaushadam Bhiva Manaha Sri Krishna Divya Aushadam. In this verse, yesterday, we learned that the medicine which is called Krishna Mantram, Krishna himself removes all the delusions that caused by our desire or false identification of ourselves as this body, as our mind, as our intelligence, as our senses, and so forth. That delusion is removed. And this aushadam is also taken by the great munis like Vyasa, Narada, Vashishta, Vamadeva, Vishwamitra, and so many great munis. And also the same medicine is also finishes those daityas, the Rakshasas, Asuras, and so forth. Not only that, this medicine is essential for one to rejuvenate the residents of this world and all the three worlds. For them to be rejuvenated, this aushadam, this medicine is like a energizer, this medicine. And bhaktya agyanta ita aushadam, this medicine is the ultimate wonder or brings all the benediction to the devotees. Aushadam. Bhava bhaya pradvamsana eka aushadam. This medicine banishes the fear that we all have, the fear that everyone has in a different types of fears. Therefore, all the fears are also completely banished by this aushadam. And this aushadam, Shreya Prapti Kara aushadam, it is the key medicine that gives all the auspiciousness, brings all the auspiciousness. We don't need to do anything special, mantra, tantra, this, any of those things. Just having Krishna as our medicine, Krishna as our money. Krishna, money means not M-O-N-E-Y, M-A-N-I, money, the jewel. Krishna as the mantra, the house will become auspicious. House will be free of any fear. House will fear any inauspiciousness. House will not be, house means the house, and the people living in the house will not be affected by any of the evil things. Therefore, Arva says, Krishna is the money, Krishna is mantram, Krishna is aushadam. Well, if you don't take this seriously, as Krishna as money, Krishna as mantram, Krishna as aushadam, and you do everything else minus applying this principle with proper consciousness, what will happen is what the topic for today and verse for today. It is important that we understand that any activities that we perform that has to be mixed with proper jnana, proper understanding. And if you don't have the proper understanding of what we are, why we are doing what we are doing, then that action is of no use. And that is the message that Alvar is giving, a very strong message. āmnāyābhyasanāni araṇya-ruditaṃ veda-vratāny anvahaṃ medaś-cheda-phalāni pūrta-vidhayaḥ sarve hutaṃ bhasmani tīrthānām avagāhanāni gaja-snānaṃ vinā yat-pada-dvandv-ambho-ruha-saṃsmṛtiḥ vijayate devaḥ Nārāyaṇaḥ. This is the Śloka for today. The message what Alvar is saying is quite straightforward. You do any action, when you do an action, make sure that you understand why we are doing this action. Without having the jnana, jnana means knowledge, knowledge means being conscious, aware, having awareness and understanding, of subject matter. Without having any of those things, if you only do an action, it is called karma. When you do things with proper jnana, when jnana is added to the karma, that's when it becomes jnana yoga. If you do just jnana part without karma, you don't have, even the jnanis, they have to perform some actions. But jnana is just by doing just jnana alone, but not having action, it's not possible for even jnana yogi. They also have to eat, they have to sleep, they also have to breathe, they also have to take a break. Therefore, the karma is also involved for them. If they don't do proper karma and only perform jnana, that is simply jnana, that is not jnana yoga. When this karma and jnana mix together with a coating of proper devotion, and that is called bhakti. Therefore, this Śloka is so very important Śloka for us to understand why we are doing what we are doing. And when we do, we have a proper consciousness of how we are doing. In our morning sessions, during the weekdays, we are also practicing some meditation. As we are practicing how to make our chanting better, we all chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As we are chanting, why we are chanting, in what consciousness we are chanting, for whom we are chanting, what's the benefit of chanting. This is a proper meditation and understanding. Therefore, it is important that jnana is so very important. In one of the exercises that we are doing in the morning is pranayama. When we breathe in and breathe out, inhale and exhale, we focus our consciousness, our mind towards the breathe in and breathe out. When we try to get the prana hold into our chest, that is also a focus towards our chest. Therefore, when we do our pranayama with proper focus on each and every breath, then that gives a result. Likewise, when we do any karma, when karma means an action, karma has multiple, in different contexts, karma changes its meaning. In this context, karma means action. I am doing a karma right now. That karma is I'm speaking, that is a karma, and you are listening is another karma. So these are all karmas. When we do this karma, we have a proper understanding of why we do. Service is important. We are not saying that service is not important. Service is important. But when we do a service is everything for us. For devotee service, chanting is a service. Going to temple is a service. Talking to a devotee is also a service. Saying Hare Krishna to a devotee is also service. Honoring prasadam is a service. And of course, washing pots and cleaning temples and cooking and singing and harti and many things that we are trying to, everything is service. But the important point is not service is the one, it's not service is the only important thing. Service becomes fruitful when we have proper jnana when we are doing what we are doing. That's the point. Else it becomes useless. This is what is explained in Krishna himself says this in Bhagavad Gita. Shrayan dravyamaya yajñāt jnana yajña parantapa sarvam karma akilam partha jnanam parisamapyate. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that understand, my dear Krishna, my dear Arjuna, dravya yajna is important. Dravya means you have a fire sacrifice, you offer ahuti, you just offer different articles into this that is important. But more than dravya yajna, more than shrayan dravya mayat yajñat, jnana yajñena parantapa Arjuna, jnana yajna is more greater than the dravya yajna. This is in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says that while he was explaining different types of yaga and yajna, he says there's a yajna is called dravya yajna, where you offer articles into the fire sacrifice, but that is important. But then greater than that, more important than dravya yajna is jnana yajna. Therefore, the knowledge is important than the dravya. What we need to understand is, doesn't mean that we should not do any of this devotional service, dravya yajna, or for example, any of those things. When we do, understand why we are doing this one. Therefore, jnana is greater than any other action. This includes when we go to the temple, we make garland, we make we may wash pots, we may cook at the temple, we may do kirtan, we may give classes, serving the service as a priest inside the altar, serving as a board of director, serving as a temple president, serving as any of those things. Better than those things, what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, better than any of those things I just listed now, jnana yajna is superior. Krishna is saying that, I'm not saying. Now, immediately what we'll tell is, well, now I'm not going to go to temple, I'm not going to wash pots, I'm not going to make garlands, I'm not going to do any of those things, attend meetings, nothing, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, better than those things is jnana yajna. All I'm going to do is simply continuously, simply sit and study, and cultivate jnana. And that is not what Krishna is saying. That is not what Krishna is saying. What Krishna is saying is, when you do this one, do with proper jnana. Not to say that don't do that one, only focus on jnana. The entire Bhagavad Gita is so beautiful that it's a mix and combination of different yogas together. We cannot isolate one yoga that Krishna given with another yoga. If we are performing karma yoga, have a proper jnana. If you are performing jnana yoga, make sure you perform certain karma. When you do bhakti, make sure you do karma and jnana together. If you're just saying bhakti, but you don't have knowledge and you don't do any service, what's the use of that bhakti? Therefore, it's a beautiful combination. It's all entering together. One cannot say, I'm only a bhakti yogi, I'm only a karma yogi, I'm only a jnana yogi. That's not how it works. It's a beautiful mix of all these different yogas. Therefore, as we saw this yesterday also, when we stop someone, say someone is cooking at the temple, and then you just stop them, excuse me, sir, and why we are doing this one, and we went through the list one. If the person has a different ideas of why he or she is cooking at the temple or singing for the deity, singing at the temple, if they have various ideas, they don't even have ideas, then what's the use of you doing these things? If he says, if I don't want, if the person is telling, yeah, I don't want to do the service of washing the pots, but this person pulled me, I was going to have my prasadam, and this person pulled me to come and do the service. I really don't want to do it, but then I was pulled into this one. Or someone may say, at least doing some service here in the temple will help me to bring some goodness or fortune, auspiciousness in my life, in my family life. We went through all this. None of these things are real knowledge. None of these things are real knowledge. They are no use of these. Rather, if someone is saying, I am doing this service because I'm servant of the master, supreme master. This place belongs to Krishna Balaram. This place is Krishna's, and I am a servant. Therefore, I am doing the service, and therefore I'm doing the service to my master. I am doing the service for his pleasure, not for my pleasure. This is a constant message that we have to keep reminding to our mind, that I am doing what I am doing is for pleasure of Krishna. The purpose of me taking birth, me taking human birth, is to simply engage myself in the service of God, service of Krishna. And that is why God has lent us this body, sense, mind, and intelligence so that we can be engaged in his service. If I take the product from someone and start using the product for something else, then what sort of people are we? We are not a right person of using the product what has been given for some purpose and start using for something else. That's not good. Therefore, I am here. If the person is thinking like this when he is doing the service, that I am the servant of Krishna, I'm doing for his pleasure. I'm doing for his pleasure. And the third one, the purpose of my birth and having this human body is to get engaged in the service of Krishna, all my senses. And when I'm getting engaged, what do you get? What I get is purification of my existence. My existence gets purified, my consciousness gets purified. And in this way, I can express my devotion much more better way. I can show my love to Krishna better. Now my devotion, now my love is all mixed up with other motives, other ideas, other understanding or wrong understanding, wrong motives, wrong expectation. Right now, that's how my mind is, my intelligence is, but that all has to be taken away. And therefore, I'm doing this service for the sake of getting pure unalloyed bhakti as a servant of servant for the pleasure of Krishna, where I can use the God-given body in his service for my own purification and purification of my consciousness. If one says, this is why I'm doing the service, then he is doing the right service in the right mood with proper jnana, and his karma is going to be purified. Karma is going to be purified. Otherwise, if without this understanding, if someone does everything but not having any of this understanding, that action, that karma is of no use. So the question is if jnana is important, why do we do karma? Someone asked this question. If jnana is what important, let me do Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhavam, this and that certification, everything. I don't have time to come and do any service because I have to do my assignments, I have to prepare for my exams, test. I want to memorize all 700 slokas of Bhagavad Gita and 18,000 slokas of Srimad Bhagavatam, 24,000 of Srimad Ramayanam. I want to memorize all those things, but I don't have time to come and do service, because that is what we've been seeing so far, that Arvar is saying jnana is very important, Krishna is saying jnana is very important, but that's not the way it's going to work. Jnana is important, it is needed, but our jnana is covered and contaminated. It cannot, it's like I can show you this one. You can see my screen. I turned on my flashlight on my cell phone, and you can see this. Now I'm just covering this, and you can't see the light because it's been covered. If I remove my hand, then you can see the light flash, right? Right flash. Likewise, what's happening is our jnana is covered. How much ever we are trying to cultivate jnana, also we are not able to practice that because of something, and that something is the obstacles or a roadblock for us to proceed further into the path of bhakti. Like the house, how many times do we clean the house? Once in a year? Or whenever we invite someone to our house for programs or dinner or prasad, whatever, then if that's not the way that we can keep the house clean. The house has to be cleansed pretty much every day. That is, especially traditionally, house has to be cleaned twice a day at least. Early in the morning and then in the evening, house has to be cleaned at least every day. That why we have to do this every day? Now, Metal Prabhu, in India, we have to do this because there's a lot of pollution and dirt and traffic and all those things. But here we don't need to do this one. Well, you can argue with all those things. The point here is if we don't clean the house on a regular basis, it's not going to help. Our house is going to become messy. It's not going to be nice. And it's our duty to clean the house every day. Likewise, the jnana that we have to retain our jnana to keep constantly cleansing our contaminated mind and consciousness, what we have to do is we have to do the karma. Without doing the karma, without doing an action, without doing the karma, the consciousness is not going to get purified. When I say karma, I'm talking about the activities that we perform as a devotional service. We can even call that as a bhakti. But for this context, for us in the language of Bhagavad Gita, we'll stick on to the term called karma. Karma is the action that we perform, that action which is prescribed by the scriptures. When we perform the action which is prescribed by the scriptures, our consciousness become purified. When our consciousness become purified, that means we are removing the covering of our hidden knowledge. The knowledge, we all have knowledge, by the way. It's not that I have a less knowledge, you have more, I have more knowledge, you have less knowledge, someone else has a better knowledge. It's not everyone come, like you have a you move to a house and you're trying to trying to get an internet setup, right? The internet setup, they try to get you the internet connection, and then you do what you need to do, and then you feel that there's something need to be added more, and it's not enough for you to cover all the areas of the house. Then what you do is you call the company, the service provider, you call the internet service provider company, you say, I think I need more gigs. It's not just enough for me. And they have to say, well, you have to pay $10 extra and we can increase. Do I have to change the modem? Do I have to change? No, nothing. It's all inbuilt. We just have to change the configuration on our side where we can unlock, where you can extend, you can use more of gigs. Otherwise, they will limit it based on how much we pay. Likewise, our jnana is actually has no limit, but the jnana is contrasted, is just shortened based on our karma. Therefore, we see that someone is studying well, and even I am studying well, but I'm not getting good grades. The other person is not even studying, he just somehow the other just brushes up and he goes and he gets a good grade. We have experienced all this in our days, right? Why is that? It's because of the karma. Because of the karma, then the extent of knowledge is also based on our karma. That's an important point to understand. Therefore, the point here is, since we are in this world, our jnana is covered and contaminated by material things and other things. For the jnana to illuminate, manifest, we have to remove the contamination. How do we remove the contamination? The removal of contamination is happening only through the process of karma. That is, karma is as per what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. When we perform those actions, the action of nitya karma, nitya anushtanam, naimittika karma, nitya karma, naimittika karma, following certain things of like Ekadeshi, Dvadeshi, and Sandhya Vandana, Varnashrama Dharma, and all those different things which Krishna has said. If we follow these things to the best that we could, being a husband, what husband should do, husband dharma, Purusha dharma, Stri dharma, and every dharma has been given. When we follow this dharma to the best that we could, what happens is that the contamination gets cleansed. Therefore, action is going to help us. The karma yoga, when we perform a karma, that's going to help us to remove the contamination, cleanses our consciousness, and make us in a proper way to think. Therefore, when we are able to proper way to think, then the jnana becomes into the effect. Therefore, Alvar is saying over here, āmnāyābhyasanāny, araṇya-ruditaṃ. When you do this one, then that is good. But if you are not going to do this one, we are simply trying to read the scripture. We are simply trying to perform yaga and yajña, simply trying to do fastings, simply trying to go to tīrthāyatra, holy dhams and holy place, and dig or take bath into the holy river. All those things are total waste. Total waste if you don't remember vinā. Vinā means waste. Yat-pada-dvandv-ambho-ruha-saṃsmṛtiḥ, vijayate devah Nārāyaṇaḥ. If you don't remember Nārāyaṇa at the time of engaging in your action and you're simply doing action, vinā, it is simple waste. And with that said, let's get into the meaning of more details of what this sloka says. So yat-pada, the way that we will see it, we'll go to the last two lines of the sloka. If you have the sloka in front of you, yat-pada-dvandv-ambho-ruha-saṃsmṛtiḥ, Saṃsmṛtiḥ means remembrance. Yat-pada-dvandva, not one but two lotus feet. Ambho-ruha means lotus. Dvandva means two. those two lotus feet, if we don't remember those two lotus feet, vijayate, which is to be jayatu, devo, devaki, nandanayam, the same what we saw in the second Śloka of Mukunda Māla, vijayate, it won't give any victory if we don't remember Nārāyaṇa when you do the action. yat-pada-dvandv-ambho-ruha-saṃsmṛtiḥ vijayate devasa Nārāyaṇa. Now, let's get into āmnāyābhyasanāni. Āmnāya means to study. Abhyasa means to study. To study āmnāya, the Vedas and the scriptures. We have so many Vedas, so many scriptures. And when we study the Vedas and scriptures, or we are reciting all the Veda mantras, Nārāyaṇa Shuktam, Purusha Shuktam, Sri Shuktam, Nīla Shuktam, and all the Vishnu Shuktam, all the wonderful Shuktams and many things from the Vedas, that is equal to araṇya-ruditaṃ. Aranya means forest, ruditam means to cry. It's like if you read the Vedas, if you recite the Vedas, if you know all those things, you study and do all those things very nicely, it is like going to the forest and crying in the forest. What does it mean? What it means is that's when we have to connect the last line to the first line. Yet the vinā, that means āmnāyābhyasanāny araṇya-ruditaṃ vinā yat-pada-dvandv-ambho-ruha-saṃsmṛtiḥ vijayate devaḥ sa nārāyaṇaḥ. You have to combine the last line of the Śloka to every sentence that's been told in this particular verse. Now let's combine. āmnāyābhyasanāny araṇya-ruditaṃ vinā is waste. Studying scriptures is waste. Reciting Vedas are waste. Doing mantras are waste. Vinā yat-pada-dvandv-ambho-ruha-saṃsmṛtiḥ. If you don't remember vijayate devaḥ sa nārāyaṇaḥ, if you don't remember the Nārāyaṇa at the time of you studying, you reciting Vedic mantras, then it's like going to the forest, araṇya-ruditaṃ, going to the forest and crying. What does it relate to the going to the forest and crying when you don't do this one, when you don't remember? Well, in the city, when we are crying, at least the neighbor will come and ask who we are, what's going on, is everything okay, what happened to you, why are you crying? But inside the forest, in the deep forest, if you go and cry in the forest, what's the use? There's no one going to come to help us. There's no one going to come to help us and do anything for us. Therefore, āmnāyābhyasanāni means when you study the Vedic scripture, when you recite all the Vedic scripture, by not remembering Nārāyaṇa, by forgetting Nārāyaṇa, it is simply of no use. It's like a scholar being likewise the scholar who recites Vedic rituals and mantra does not have love towards the lotus feet of Krishna, Nārāyaṇa. It is not going to save him, which is like a person who is going to cry in the forest seeking for help. There is no use. There is no use. That's the first thing. Now, we have to understand, when we study the scriptures, when we recite the slokas, when we memorize the slokas, the purpose is to remember Krishna's lotus feet. And when we remember this one, when we are reciting these things, then it is fruitful. Otherwise, it's simply crying out in the forest where we are not going to get any help at all. This is the first one. Second, now that we said this one, well, what about doing rituals? That's mentioned in the Vedas. Forget about studying Vedas, reciting mantras, and so forth. What about the rituals that we perform? Different yaga, yajña, homa, and so forth. What about that one? That will give benefit, right? Because the karma, we do an action. Doing them is, but will that be good? Is that good? And that is of no use. That is also of no use. When we perform this action, even without mistake, we are performing yaga and yajna with proper pronunciation, not keeping printout in the hand and reading all those mantras and things. First of all, that is not a high class of performing thing, but we know our standard. But generally, it has to come out of our memory, our practice of reciting mantras. And reciting mantras should be coming from our learning, not through our papers and books and reading through the mantras. None of those things are a best way. But people do that because of less practices and training and so forth. Anyway, so even if you recite mantras performing during the yaga and yajna, when you're performing yaga yajna, the pronunciation of the word shabdam and words and aksharam and everything is so perfect, no mistakes. And the articles that are all pure article, everything is fine. Everything is fine. What about such yaga and yajna? What about such yaga and yajna? And then our veda-vratāny, veda-vratāny, anvahaṃ, medaś-cheda-phalāni, medaś-cheda-phalāni. He says medaś-cheda-phalāni. He says that it is just simply you're trying to reduce your weight, reduce the fat in your body. That's the benefit of what you're doing as a yaga and yajna. Will simply becomes a weight reduction program. If you simply don't remember if you don't remember Krishna's lotus feet, Nārāyaṇa's lotus feet, and you simply do this one, the best benefit you're going to get out of by doing this without remembering Nārāyaṇa is weight reduction program. You have to take this one, lift this one, your biceps may increase, you have to do this one, that one. All those things, actions are happening. Veda-vratāny, anvahaṃ, medaś-cheda-phalāni. Medaś-cheda-phalāni is simply saying you're cutting down your fat in your body. There's nothing more than that if you do this yaga and yajna without remembering Krishna. So that's total waste. It's just total waste. Well, what about social work? Can I go and engage in serving people, serving humanity, right? I'm going to give donations and go into the non-profit organization of orphan things, or old age homes, and all those different things. Are the social work can be unlimited. So many things. Giving canned food. In St. Louis, we have in St. Louis Science Center every year. Bal Vihar used to do this one. They have this can collections and all the things of different food item and supply to the needy people, things like that. Anyway, so you all understand the public services, right? What about those things? Digging well, having water tank, chatram, having a place where traveling people can come and stay overnight and have some food and go. What about garden for public? And many, so many different things are there. What about those things? Alvar is saying, pūrta-vidhayaḥ. Pūrta, you must be familiar with this word pūrta in Srimad Bhagavatam, and Rukmini Devi is saying, she also mentioned this word pūrta. What she says is, pūteshtu dhatta niyama vritadheva vipra kuruvarchanadibhi alam bhagavan pareshah aradhito yeti gadagraja yetyapanim grinnatu mena dhamagosha sutadhayani. This is a letter that Rukmini wrote to Krishna, one of the verses where she says, Pūrtishta means, Pūrtishta is a two-word, Pūrtam and Ishtam. Pūrtam, Ishtam. Pūrtam means public service. Public service of whatever we just discussed now, digging wells, feeding people, and taking care of orphan, and giving money to the poor people for their daughters to get married, and etc. Pūrtam, public services. Ishtam, religious activities. So Rukmini Devi is saying, Krishna, if you were pleased by my Pūrtam and Ishtam, Dhatta, charity, Niyama-vrita, my austerity, my dear Lord, if you're pleased with these things, why don't you come? Why don't you come and show your mercy? And that is Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll come back to Mukunda Māla. But the point I was just trying to say here, comparing to Rukmini thing, the word pūrta-vidhayaḥ, pūrteshta, where Rukmini also says, Alvar also say, pūrta-vidhayaḥ, pūrta-vidhayaḥ means the charity or the welfare public services that we do. What about those services when we do? Well, if you do these services, all the services that you're doing is simply without Krishna consciousness. If you're not having proper Krishna consciousness while you're doing all the thing, what you're doing, sarve bhutam bhasmani. Sarve bhutam bhasmani means everything goes to ashes. It becomes just ashes. whatever services we are doing to the society and public and all those things, if you are not doing in a proper Krishna consciousness. What is the Krishna consciousness? Please remember, it's a repetition. I am servant of Krishna. Krishna is my only master. Krishna has given me this body, senses, and intelligence to engage myself in Krishna's service. While I'm doing this is for my purification, and when we do this one, my consciousness gets purified. When my consciousness gets purified, I will be able to properly serve Krishna without any sort of motive, any sort of idea. In this way, I can remember Krishna's lotus feet. And this is the proper consciousness. This consciousness is minus, but we are trying to do charity work for public and many, many other things of no use. There are many people, wonderful people. I know there are so many wonderful people. They do so much of charity work, but they do this without proper Krishna consciousness. They don't remember yat-pada-dvandv-ambho-ruha-saṃsmṛtiḥ. They don't remember the lotus feet of Nārāyaṇa, but they just do action. Krishna says, what is the use of Arva? Arva says, it's just going to be sarve hutaṃ, bhasmani. It simply goes into ashes of no use. Ashes. Now, next question comes. Well, you said now about Vedas, you said about yaga-yajña, you said about public charity and other things, or those things. What about going to tīrthāyatra? Tīrthāyatra means going to holy places, different places. And then, especially when we go to the holy places, it's important for us to know, we just don't go and, we simply don't go and come back just like that. Wherever we go, the holy places, it's important to do few things. One important thing is we have to take bath in the holy river over there. That's important. Number two is to know the mahatmyam, the glories of that kshetram. Whatever, if you go to Puri Jagannath, what is this Jagannath Puri? What is this Ayodhya? What is this Mayapur? What is this Kashi? What is this Rameshwaram? What is this Kshetra? What is this? What is the history of this Mahatmya? Mahatmya, the greatness and glories of this Kshetra, glories of the tīrthānām. So we need to know, we have to take bath in the holy river or holy pond or river, and we need to know the glories of the place. And third important thing when we go to the holy place is to make sure we associate with the saintly people. We just don't go only take darshan and come. We also associate with the saintly people over there. That's very, very important. And then comes you would go and take darshan of the deities over there. We do everything reverse, or we only do one thing out of all these things that have been mentioned. We go straight because our time is so very limited. We go straight, take the darshan of the Lord. We go to the next temple and we take darshan of the Lord. We just tick mark. We have a list of 10 temples in our book. When I go to India this time, I have to visit all this temple. It is not visit, it is a service. We should know it's not simply visiting. Even going to the temple from all the way from this country to another country is a service. When we do this in the mood of service, then everything changes. Therefore, when we go there, we have to make sure we have tīrthānām. We have to take the bath in the holy water. We should not be thinking, oh, I'm from America. How can I jump into this dirty water and it's going to contaminate? I'll get all. That's not how we have to think. It's holy by nature. It doesn't matter how the water is. It's holy. It's just because we contaminated this holy water, unfortunately, rather than keeping it clean, we throw things and we do all sort of things with this holy water, which is not supposed to be doing. But anyway, so the point is we go to the holy dham. When we go to the holy dham, we take tīrthānām means take the water. At least if you are not comfortable getting into the water, take some water from the pond, from the river, and sprinkle on your head. That is important. That is also important. So anyway, and also one more, as I'm in this part, it's important to mention, one cannot simply dive into the holy water. It's not a swimming pool. We should know that the holy water in the temple, like Radha Kund, Shama Kund, or any of the temple you go, they will have a pond there. It is not a swimming pool. Swimming pool is different, and this pond, the water in the temples are totally different. We cannot treat that as a swimming pool. To jump into that one and spit into that one and all cannot be done. And even before entering into this water, we have to pay our obeisances in respect to the water personification, and take some water and pray and take their blessing and sprinkle on our head. Then we have to enter into the water. Without doing this thing, we cannot simply straightly enter into water. So these are the jnana, knowledge one should have. But anyway, coming back to the point here, tīrthānām, avagāhanāni cha. Tīrthānām, what about going and taking bath in the holy waters? Ganga, Yamuna, Kaveri, Narmada, Godavari, all the different beautiful waters. What about these waters when we go into these waters? And will that be beneficial? Well, it is the benefit. All you can do is you can have a better breathing system as you then go into the water, but it's not going to get you anywhere because you don't have a proper jnana. If you just don't have a proper jnana of this tīrthāṃ, what happens is the bath that you take is gaja-snānaṃ. Gaja means elephant, snānaṃ means bath. What you have taken or what you have done is gaja-snānaṃ. You simply washed your body to get cleansed. That's all. Your consciousness has not been cleansed. Consciousness has not been cleansed. If you don't have a love of Godhead, if you don't understand the glories of the water where you're going to dip in or bathe, if you don't have a proper jnana, if you don't understand the relationship of this water with Krishna, you simply bathe into this water, then it's called gaja-snānaṃ. It's like an elephant taking bath. We all know this elephant taking bath is of no use. Yeah. Elephant, the huge animal elephant, is by the elephant caretaker. He will just brush the body of the elephant with many things, with the rough things to cleanse it nicely, and the elephant takes bath very nicely. But then as soon as it comes out, we know it takes all the dust and just dump it on its back, on its body. It's just a gaja-snānaṃ of no use. Therefore, āmnāyābhyasanāny araṇya-ruditaṃ veda-vratāny anvahaṃ, the daily study of scriptures, if without remembering the lotus feet of Nārāyaṇa, it is simply crying out in the forest of no use, medaś-cheda-phalāni pūrta-vidhayaḥ sarve hutaṃ bhasmani. If you try to do any austerity, if you're trying to do any austerity in many ways or charity and etc., it is simply of no use. If you don't remember the lotus feet of Krishna, it is of no use. It is all you've done is body exercise. Instead of going to gym, you did some exercise. That's all. tīrthānām avagāhanāni cha gaja-snānaṃ vinā, gaja-snānaṃ. If you go to the tīrtha yatra, you take bath in the Ganga, Yamuna, Kaveri, and so many water, but you don't remember the lotus feet of Krishna, it is simply gaja-snānaṃ. Vinā, of no use, yat-pada-dvandv-ambho-ruha-saṃsmṛtiḥ vijayate devasa nārāyaṇaḥ. Unless one action is mixed with, coated with the remembrance and jnana of the lotus feet of the Lord, remembering Krishna in every action that we do, any action we do is simply karma. It is not karma yoga. It is nowhere close to bhakti. That's of any action, anything that we are sitting in front of the table to eat our food. We have to think, well, how many people don't have this food to eat? I've been blessed by Krishna to have this plate in front of me. And this is not an ordinary food. This is prasadam. Krishna has blessed us. Krishna has touched with his lotus mouth, and the remain is what has been given to me. So I'm so blessed to have this prasadam. How much time we spend in meditating on meditating upon Krishna before even putting the one morsel of food into our mouth. We have to start practicing. We have to start thinking about things. Otherwise, we are simply eating. We're simply eating. So any action, we go to work. Why am I going to work? Why am I going to? Well, I have to take care of this one. I have to pay my mortgage bill. I have to do this one. I have to get promotion. I have to get higher in the ladder of the chain in hierarchy in the corporate in my etc. Whatever. That's not what it is. I'm going to work to earn some money to get some dravyam. I'm going to work so that I can get some money. We are all going to work to get money. That's no question about it. If money is not given, we are not going to go to work anyway. So therefore, some money is always needed for everyone. Unfortunately, money is needed for anyway. So we'll stick on to the subject matter. So money is needed for everyone. As they say, Bhagavatam says, money is honey. For devotees, money is as much as needed is needed. The purpose is with the money, we can buy some necessary things. Those necessary things can be used in the service of Krishna. With that money, I can also take care of the God-given family to maintain them and take care of them nicely. Therefore, when we remember Krishna, while we work, while we get money, while we spend the money, when we remember Krishna, that is useful. If we remember, if we forget, vinā yat-pada-dvandv-ambho-ruha-saṃsmṛtiḥ, vijayate devaḥ sa nārāyaṇaḥ, it is of no use. Simply money. Simply what we got is money. Therefore, karma must be mixed with jnana. Jnana must be mixed with karma. Karma and jnana without bhakti is no use. Kevala karma, kevala jnana. Kevala means if you're in kevala means just that, not combined with something else. Just that kevala karma. Only karma is my duty. I do my karma. I work. But why you're working, you don't have the ultimate understanding of why we are working. Of course, everyone knows why they are working. They are working for taking care of their body, they're taking care of their family, taking care of making money, savings, and then thinking of their thing of this lifetime. And that is kevala karma. That's kevala karma. When that kevala karma becomes karma yoga, when we apply the jnana into the karma, and that kevala karma changes to karma yoga. Jnana of I am a servant of Krishna. Krishna is master. I am a servant. Krishna has given this body to me, senses to me, intelligence to me. Let me engage myself in the service of Krishna for my own purification. That with the purification, my bhakti becomes unalloyed bhakti, and Krishna is my shelter. Krishna is my only go-to person. I have no other ability to elevate myself. It's only Krishna who can uplift from me from this samsara. Atmavare drishtavyaḥ sottavyaḥ mantavyaḥ didityasavyah maitreyi in Bhagavad-Aranya Upanishad. That's a beautiful statement. It says that the only way that we can understand and get released from this world is by upasana. Upasana means by performing all the different upasana, all different things. Excuse me. All different things. The only way is to become pure, become great in your bhakti, and in this way that we can be able to, we will be able to. Atmavare, my dear one, Maitreyi, my dear Maitreyi. This is Yajña-Valkya as a rishi is talking to his wife Maitreyi, saying the way that we can attain God is by drashtavyaḥ, sotravyaḥ, mantavyaḥ, nididhyastavyaḥ. Means he says that by proper practice of hearing, when you hear, then you start contemplating. When the contemplation is further in contemplation, mantavyaḥ, sotavyaḥ, by first you have to start hearing. You have to hear about many things means scriptural things about Krishna. So when you have to start hearing, and then what you heard should be mantavyaḥ, it has to be contemplated, and the contemplation should go into the next stage of dhyana. Dhyana is where the contemplation is only for a few hours. Now we are all contemplating of what has been discussed here by Kulashekara Alva. But then after the class is over, the contemplation should continue at least for some time. Oh, what did he say? He said that about Vedas, studying Vedas without remembering Krishna is of no use. He said that your yaga yajña, when you perform these things, is of no use if you don't remember Krishna, and going to tīrthāyatra is no use if you don't remember the Krishna. We remember this thing, we contemplate on this thing. Therefore, I also have to remember Krishna in all our action that I do. That is mantavyaḥ. But then mantavyaḥ goes to the next higher stage, nididhyasanam. Nididhyasanam means completely without break remembering Krishna's lotus feet. Tailataravat, like how oil is being poured. When the oil is poured, it doesn't splatter. It just doesn't go here and there. The oil goes like a straight iron rod, straightly. Likewise, our concentrated dhyana becomes so much focused on Krishna's lotus feet. This is how one can attain drishtavyam. This is how one can attain the glance and can see the Lord face to face. This is what the great rishi says in Bhagavad-Aranya. This comes from the Bhagavad-Aranya Upanishad. Whereas, quite interesting that this is true But whereas in the Kathopanishad, Nayamatma pravachanena labdhya na medayana bahuna sutena yam iveshve vrunute tena labdhya tasya eva atma vrunute tanum swam. This is another statement which is told in another Upanishad, Nayamatma pravachanena labdhya. This is beautiful. Whereas the one cannot simply understand and attain God by giving lectures. Pravachanam is giving lecture, speaking great thing. I've given great lecture now, therefore I will attain Vaikuntha. I will go back to God. It is not by simply giving being a best speaker, giving great lecture, showing your intellectual things, ability to prove the world that how knowledgeable you are, is not going to help you to get it's not going to help you to be released from the samsara and go back to the spiritual. What about the other one? Na medaya na bahuna sutena, na medaya bahuna sutena, nor it been attained by intelligence or not by simply hearing. This is where interesting thing comes, right? Just now we saw Sutvan Gunan Bhuvana Sundara Shunvatante. This is also from Rukmini Sandesha, where Rukmini says that I know Krishna, I developed that love by hearing you. This is what we learned in Rukmini's letter. Sutvan Gunans Bhuvana Sundara. I heard you, I developed that love. But whereas the Upanishads say, Na medaya na bahuna sutena, just by hearing one cannot attain God. What? How we've been thinking that hearing is an important process, but let's wait here. For Nayamatma Pravashanena Labdhya, Namedaya Nabhuna Sutena, not by hearing so many lectures. Keep on hearing. Namedaya, not simply become Medhavi means a very learned scholar, Pandit in the scriptures, not by the then what to do? How do we combine in one part of the Upanishad? The one part of the Upanishad clearly states. One second, please. One part of the Upanishad clearly says Atma vare drishtabhya sotabhya mantavya nidityasanam. Only by proper way of contemplation and dhyana one can attain. One has to hear, one has to contemplate, one has to be in a high level of dhyana. In that way, drishtavyam, one will be able to see the Lord. Whereas in the another sloka, another Upanishad, it is said, Nayamatma pravachanena labhya namedaya na bahuna sutena yam niveshve brute. He says not by performing pravachan, not by simply hearing, not by performing studies of Vedic scripture, one can attain God. Then how do we connect this both things together? The sloka, therefore it is said, action is alone not going to get us. There is something is very important. As we do action, we have to know that why we are doing this action. When we do that action with the proper knowledge, what happens? When we do this with proper knowledge, then comes the Lord's mercy. The Lord's mercy comes upon us where we will be free. This is an important point. We can get everything else, but we will not get Lord's lotus feet if we don't have that bhakti, Krishna consciousness in the way that we are. So, one second, I got to turn off this. Is too disturbing. Therefore, Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, karmani akarmayat pasyate akarmani cha karmayah sa buddhiman manusyeshu so yukta Krishna karma kriti. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, therefore it is important to incorporate Krishna consciousness when you do an action. It's so very important. And Krishna is a buddhiman. One is intelligent manushya. Of the manushas, one is buddhiman. When buddhiman means very intelligent person, when he understands karmani akarmani sa pasyate akarmani cha karma Krishna, when you understand and do your action with proper incorporating Krishna consciousness in the way, then that gives a good result. If you don't incorporate Krishna consciousness in any action that you perform, there is no use. You can be chanting for 50 years, 60 years. You can be serving at the temple for many, many years, but it's not going to be of use because you have not incorporated Krishna consciousness. Again, what is Krishna consciousness? Consciousness of having awareness of I am servant of Krishna. He is the only master. He has engaged. You've given me an opportunity to serve him. Otherwise, hundreds and thousands of people are there, and I'm so blessed. I've been given this opportunity to serve him, and I'm doing this for Krishna's pleasure alone, not for my own pleasure. Let me engage in the service of as a servant of Krishna's servants, Krishna's devotee. And in this way, when we incorporate Krishna consciousness in our action, this is called Bhagavad Dhyana. This is called Dhyanam. When we do this Dhyanam, when we are chanting, if our Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We do this one. The lips are moving, the tongues are moving, the sound is getting produced. But in mind, my mind is elsewhere. Oh, it's already going to be 7 o'clock Central Time. My mind is already there, and that's chanting is of no use. That's what Krishna is saying, or Arva is saying over here. It is of no use. If your japa is chanting is not with dhyana, it's no use. If you're cooking for Krishna is not with dhyana, no use. If you're doing kirtan for Krishna with no Krishna consciousness, dhyana, no use. If you're a pujari, if you're a priest inside the temple doing your offering and doing everything, but you're not meditating on the beautiful deity's form, lotus feet of Krishna, it's of no use. If you're serving as in a position as whatever in the temple, but you don't have a dhyana of I'm doing this as a service to Krishna, and these are all Krishna's representative, therefore I have to serve them. If you're not doing this consciousness, then it's of no use. So when we chant, we need to contemplate the meaning of the mantra. Therefore, my dear Radha, my dear Krishna, please engage me in your devotion service. And that is how we remember, and that's how we have to remember and chant. When one who remembers this one, and they get the benefits and they get the results quickly. If they don't remember, then there is of no use. Therefore, coming back to this one, āmnāyābhyasanāny or araṇya-ruditaṃ. What is the point of reading scriptures? What's the point of reciting Vedic mantras nicely if we don't understand the essence of Vedas? The essence of Vedas is to understand Krishna, and the essence of Vedas is to develop love for Krishna. The essence of Vedas is somehow or the other finish our project, whatever the project we have taken in this world, in the human body, and by this end of this very life, go back to Krishna. And this is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, and this is what all the Vedas are saying. If we don't follow the Vedas, instruction of Vedas, Krishna says, Suti smritit mamai vāgya yashtam ullange vartate. Yajña-cheti mamadrohi mama bhaktopi na vaishnava. Krishna says that if you don't follow what I told in the Srutis and Smritis, and you do however you want, whatever the way you want, and you do things for the sake of doing, Krishna says mamadrohi, yajña-cheti mamadrohi. If you do all those things, but you don't understand why you're doing these things, the purpose of why you're doing this thing, or you neglect to do the right way, as I told you to do in the Srutis and Smritis, keeping me as a center of focus, then that person is just not doing anything. Even if he is a Vaishnava, Mama Bhaktopi na Vaishnava. Even if my devotee is not considered a Vaishnava, he is rather is not a Vaishnava, he is Mama Drohi. I understand. I'm hoping you understand what drohi means. So he is drohi. He is Mama Drohi. Even if it's my devotee, if it doesn't follow the Srutis and Smritis to understand the essence of why he is doing what he's doing, is to simply please me and is simply to get connected with me. If that is not the idea, he is simply a drohi. If he failed to follow the Srutis and Smritis, he is drohi. Veda-vratāny anyaham medaś-cheda-phalāni. We know the story from Srimad Bhagavatam. where Krishna at one point of time, he was very hungry, and he told his friends to go to the nearby place where that lot of ashrams are there, rishis are performing yaga and yajna, and he told that why don't you go and ask the rishis over there and they can provide us something to eat. And these boys all went, they were all hungry, they all went and they asked the rishis, and the rishis become mad at this boy. Don't you know that what I'm doing? I'm serving here, and I'm doing my karma here, I'm doing my duty here, and you're coming and asking for food now? Get out of here. They become very angry and sent him off. So when Krishna heard this one, he said, no problem, that's how these people are. Now you please go to the Rishi Patnis and convey the same message. And then they went to Rishi Patnis. And when they went to Rishi Patnis, they don't know how to perform yaga. They have not read the Vedas. They have not gone to many tīrthāyatras. They don't know any of their simple ladies. But then they understood the purpose of why they are doing what they are doing. That is, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sataya Shraddhaya Yukta Tasyaradhanam Ihate Labadecha Tata Kaman Mayeva Vihitan Hitan. Krishna says that very clearly. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, understand Arjuna, those who are worshipping the other devatas, the demigods, they are worshipping this god and that god, Monday god, Tuesday god, Wednesday god, Thursday god. Every day they have a god. Every god. They worship all to different gods. But they don't understand whatever they want from these gods is as Labatecha Tata Kamane, Maya Iva Vihitan Hitan. It is me who is bestowing those mercy through this media of their devata. They're worshipping to a particular devata, thinking that devata is going to give something to them. But then in reality, in actuality, the truth is that these devatas come to me, my dear Lord, my dear Krishna, my devotee is come and asking me something, would you approve? In corporate world, you have a director, you have a vice president, all those different, but then you could be also a manager, but then you want to appoint someone, you want to give something to some of your direct reports. You cannot just go ahead and do it. Even though you have the authority to do it, you put everything together and then send it to the higher authority. Can you please approve this? I want to hike the salary for this person. I want to give promotion to this person. Anything cannot be done by one manager. It has to go through the chain of approvals to get approved. Finally, to approve this person's salary hike or promotions or job change or whatever it is. It has to be approved by the chain of command. Likewise, I go and worship to a particular devata, and the devata rush back, sends an message to his boss. And again, there's no chain of command to all. There's only one boss. When it comes to spirituality, when it comes to this whole spirituality, there's only one boss. Everything is reporting and working to that one boss. And they all send an email to, can you please approve my devotee? The devata is telling, my devotee is requesting and asking and praying, and he did it perfectly. It satisfies, he puts a checklist. He satisfied this one. He did the vrata, he gave the donation, he did the yaga, everything is tick. Therefore, I would like to grant him this benediction. Would you approve, Krishna? Labatecha tata kaman mayeva vihitan hitan. Yes, I approve. You take it. Let your devotee be happy. But these rishis, even though they are well versed with yaha and yajna and Vedas and mantras and so forth, they don't understand. Ultimately, the Lord himself is coming and asking for food. And they are telling, I'm doing a puja here. What did you understand? It's of no use. Whatever you did so far is medaś-cheda-phalāni. All you did is some exercise you did for your body. That is of no use. When it comes to the Rishi Patni, they were completely in Bhagavad Krishna consciousness. They were in Bhagavad Dhyana. Therefore, they stand higher than the devatas. They stand higher than the rishis. Rishis, what they did is kevala karma. There's an action pouring into this one and that one and this and this. Kevala karma. There is no jnana to that one. Proper jnana, I mean. There's no proper jnana and there's no bhakti. Whereas when it's come to Rishi Patni, they were in Krishna consciousness, Bhagavad Dhyana. They were in proper knowledge of understanding. Ultimately, we have to satisfy Krishna. Therefore, they did the right thing. That if we don't do any of those things, it's of no use. Pūrta-vidhayaḥ, sarve, hutaṃ, bhasmani. If you get engaged in all the social work and many of these activities, digging well, giving charity and getting garden and all those different things, it's of no use. It becomes a bhasma. It becomes ashes. If it's not done for the service and satisfaction of the devotees and Krishna, it's of no use. tīrthānām, avagāhanāni cha gaja-snānaṃ. Gaja-snānaṃ. Therefore, when we go to the Tirtha Yatra like Ganga-snānaṃ, people go to Ganga-snānaṃ. Why are we going to do Ganga-snānaṃ? Why we are going to Kaveri? Why we are going to Yamuna and all those things? We have to get proper knowledge. If you don't have a proper knowledge of why we are doing Ganga-snānaṃ, it becomes a gaja-snānaṃ. If you don't understand why we are doing Ganga-snānaṃ, it becomes gaja-snānaṃ, elephant's bath of no use. That is also only because you see, in the Ganges, if simply dipping ourselves in Ganges, if we think that we are purified and we'll get all our papams will be gone and we'll get moksha, and it's not connecting that to the lotus feet of Krishna, then it is of no use. If it's just simply dipping into the water is good enough, then there are hundreds and thousands and millions of fishes and other aquatics that live in the Ganges water. The question is, at the end of their life, all these fishes in the Ganges are going to get moksha? Just because they are connected to the Ganga, they're going to get moksha? The answer is no. It is not just the presence, their presence in the water is going to give the moksha. Their presence along with the jnana, that this is Trivikrama Pada Tirtham. This is a water that has washed the lotus feet of Trivikrama. Therefore, since it washed the feet of the lotus feet of Krishna, Trivikrama, I am taking upon my head and purify myself. By this purification, I will become purified. My sins will be cleansed. I can attain Krishna. If this jnana is there with the karma of dipping ourselves into the water, that will purify. The fishes does not have this knowledge. They don't have this knowledge. Therefore, they don't get moksha. If we also go to the Ganga, we don't have the proper jnana of all these things, and we simply go and dig into the water and come, and we are also like fishes, we don't get anything out of it. Therefore, Arva is very clearly saying that do the recitation of Vedas, do the study of the Vedas, thinking this is going to satisfy Krishna. That also satisfy Krishna. Therefore, I am reciting mantras. Therefore, I am reading Veda. Therefore, I am doing whatever I am doing. Likewise, when we do Ekadeshi fasting, when we do fasting on certain appearance day and certain day, when we do charity to people, when we do go to pilgrimage, when we take bath in the Ganges, we have to meditate upon Krishna's lotus. If we don't meditate, it's of no use. Therefore, we have to always remember Krishna's lotus feet. Any actions, anything that with āmnāya, bhasmani, araṇya-ruditaṃ, veda-vratāny, anvahaṃ, medaś-cheda-phalāni, pūrta-vidhayaḥ sarve bhasmani, tīrthānām avagāhanāni cha gaja-snānaṃ vinā, yat-pada-dvandv-ambho-ruha-saṃsmṛtiḥ vijayate devasa nārāyaṇaḥ. Arvar Tiruvadigalē Sharanam. Thank you all very much for joining. Let's meet again next time. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Babuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.